In today's video, we're going to be wrapping the back of this IVS van, and I'm doing it the self-taught way, so let's see if it works. Or if you have a better idea, let us know. Welcome back to Rogue Design Lab. If you caught us last video, you'll remember we fitted a rear door panel insert on a Transit Custom. Well, now we've got another one of IVS's vans in for Signwriting, and we're tackling a rear partial wrap. I didn't do this on the last video because it's more complicated, but I'm going to give it a go on this video and see what happens. To be honest, I'm completely self-taught when it comes to this, so we're probably not using the most efficient methods. If you spot anything we could improve on, anything we're doing wrong, drop us some constructive tips in the comments and let us learn and get better together. Let's get into it. So, we've already cleaned off the panel using isopropyl alcohol and got it nice and clean, dried it all off and got the panel ready to put the piece on. We've already run some fine line cutting tape, which will cut the top edge nice and neatly, and we've got our magnets on halfway down because I tend to peel the backing off halfway, fit the top half and then do the bottom half. Just saves the bottom half getting creased and stuck while you're not working with it. So let's get into it. I'm going to keep everything as clean as possible. It is always quite awkward. This is one of the bits that I find the most awkward. Getting the backing off. And then peeling it halfway. It never wants to fully peel. This is one of the things that I could do a lot better. What we tend to do is peel it so far back and then just put a slight fold in the backing paper. So that we can attach the top. It will stick and re-stick. You don't want to get dirty fingerprints behind it, always have clean hands. So you need to pull the panel as tight as possible and then just lay it on. Got some tools ready up here. You want to avoid creases as much as possible. That has laid pretty nice, and you want to lay all your high spots first. So what I'm doing here is just tracing round the window aperture. I've got a lot of excess vinyl on this top corner, so you can trim some of that away. The more you trim away, the easier it is to work. And you want everything laid as flat as possible. And like I say, we'll lay into the edge of there. And then on this, again, my technique is, shall we say, probably not the best, not professional really, but I am learning, I've taught myself. I can get a reasonable looking partial wrap. I would never attempt a full wrap. So what we're going to do first here, got the Milwaukee heat gun. Just put a little bit of heat into the vinyl on the corner where we need to stretch it round. And then it's a lot easier to lay it. You don't want to stretch it too much because you'll lose the image. There's my phone going off. I forgot to put it on silent. These usually take me about an hour to fit, and I'm guessing somebody that has done courses on wrapping and fitting this kind of thing would probably have them done in about 20 minutes. That may be a little bit of an exaggeration, but I just assume they will be way faster than I would be. So that has got the top panel all on and laid. We then just actually bring you up to show you. So as you can see, what we've got here is the fine line cutting tape. So that has got a filament inside it, on the back a yellow one on the side, and we will peel that back and that will cut the vinyl nice and neat across the top edge. The filament can sometimes be fiddly to get off. So the stringers come behind, and then when you're actually starting to cut the vinyl, you have to put your finger on the edge, pull the string to the edge of the vinyl, then put your finger on it, then pull. If you don't, it'll rip the edge of the vinyl. So that has done the edge. Just have to press the edge down now. So obviously underneath there was the edge of the cutting tape. And that is the top edge done. What we've done on here is we've already fitted one on the other side, and we've measured off the rear light down the panel. The other side's got a door on, so you can only fit up to the door and leave a small gap. And then we're fitting this at exactly the same distance so that both sides are the same length. You can't look at both sides at the same time, but we want to get them as close as possible. Once you've got it stuck on the top, you can remove the other magnets. And we can start to remove the backing further down. So what I will do is bring the backing down. We've got a couple of creases up here, so I just need to try and unstick it, and then hold your hands as far out as you can and then pull it down nice and tight so it lays flat, and that should give you the least amount of creases in that you will have to work out. I've left my tools on top. Rookie error. We'll use this to stand the tools on down here. We'll need the heat gun at times, possibly scissors, cutting knife. What we need to do now is work all the creases out. We can take off some excess again on this side. The more excess vinyl you take off, the easier it is to fit. The less bunching and creases you get. So on here, got a small crease. It is self-healing, so as long as you've got a heat gun, you can pretty much recover anything. That is now laid fairly flat. You'll never get it perfect, but you want to give yourself the least amount of creases to have to work out, and that's something that I have got better at over time. There's a hinge here, so that just makes it slightly awkward to work with, but you can tuck it in behind and trim later. The vinyl is quite forgiving as well. I've got a small crease here which I'll try and work out. So again, we're following the outline of the insert, which on this one comes down and round. Sometimes, even when you've got it on, you need to pull it back off again and rework it. I'm not perfect at this by any stretch of the imagination. But we price his jobs accordingly as well. And we only tend to do these kind of jobs while I'm learning for people we know and they understand. So as you can see on here now, what we've got is all the high outline around the window surround we've got on, and that's all laid relatively nicely. We have got onto the top of a light here, so a couple of creases there. So that is now all fitted. We're tucked behind the hinge, so that can be trimmed off. But at the minute, just trying to the more trimming you do as well, it releases tension in the vinyl. So as I'm trimming out here and trimming around the light, make sure you never want to trim it short, so always make sure that you look where you're trimming and you trim carefully. So what I will do now is remove that small portion there. It means then that everything around, that can be trimmed later, but to remove tension here where we had some creases, now when you pull it down, it lays out a lot smoother without the issues that we did have. So what I'm going to do here is put a little bit of heat across this area. It does what we call glasses the vinyl. So it shrink, if you don't pull, so if you just lift it up and don't pull tension on it, what that will do, it will make the vinyl all flatten out again and get rid of any areas that would crease. We are using Metaglide vinyl, which is Metamark, and an air release vinyl. So what I'm trying to do here is get a fairly equal line all the way across. So I've got a little crease in there, but nothing that the heat gun won't get rid of. As you pick up experience doing this, it's the angle that you press the vinyl on and where to press at what time, which if you watch the guys that do this all the time, they will just all the way down, all on in one go. Yep, I'm not at that stage yet. I hope to get there. Either that or I'll give up doing it altogether. Because at the minute it does take me a fair amount of time to fit one of these. And they will generally take the full backing sheet off in one go. So they'll have all this laid on at the minute. I've got a trick I've learned for doing the edges in the recess, which I'm going to show you. What I'm going to do now is just run a bit of heat across, because we've got different curved surfaces here which will create some creases. So what this does, it just shrinks the vinyl and makes it go flat again. I'm possibly doing this too much, to be fair, and obviously it's shrinking the vinyl up here, but the vinyl up here is still flat. So I think I create myself problems as I go. I solve the problem higher up and then create a problem going down. But it works for me. I get a reasonable result at the end. It's not 100% perfect, but it certainly looks okay. What we're going to do now is I'm going to trim some of this off at the bottom. Try and get you back further into shot, there we go. So we're going to trim some of this off at the bottom because it's getting in the way of me being able to pull down on what I'm wanting to pull down on. So now we can get back to the bottom without that getting in the way, because what you need to do is kind of pull it tight as you're going. And just hold it so that it's not. again. Just take out some of the slack of the vinyl. What I'm going to do is take the whole lot off now. Bring myself a chair in, because it's just at the right height. And then try and lay it as flat as possible. There's a little bit there that wouldn't have come out, that were creased. So it's hard, you really need 3 hands, because you need to pull in 3 directions to get it flat, which is really difficult. Because the main thing is you want to try and make sure you get all this flat, but as you heat it up to lay it up at the top, it bunches at the bottom. So the arch line runs around here. See, we're going to get a crease there and there. Well, dropping the squeegee seems to be my favourite thing to do today. I have to excuse the noise from the unit next door, playing on motorbikes, I believe. So we've got that down now. I don't know if you can see, but there's an arch line there. We're following that arch line to get the top half fitted. We're not doing too bad, to be fair. We'll now work on this side. So on this, I'm now having to work outwards because I've shrunk it in the middle here. It's now bunching, so I've got to work outwards. So I kind of know what I've done wrong, but every time I fit one, I get a little bit better, but it's just really hard to not get any creases. I'm only handling the vinyl on the edge where it's not going to be stuck, it's going to be bits that are trimmed off. What I'm going to try and do now is just stretch it a bit, and I may be able to get this in one now. little bit here, which just needs shrinking a little bit. Pretty much there now. Oh, this is extra slack, to be fair. But I've got one bit here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bring you in and try and show you doing this heat gun bit. So can you see the crease there? I'm going to try and hold the camera and do the heat gun. You see, and you'll watch it disappear. That is how you get rid of creases with a heat gun. Just pop you back up on the tripod. So we're now pretty much getting there. What I am going to do now is trim off some excess. One thing I'm relatively neat at trimming off. I'm just going to nick that and cut it down, because I still have to get the bit in the arch, which currently is going to crease unless I do some manoeuvring and some stretching. What I'm doing now is just lifting it and just spreading out. I'm going to get a glove as well. So your hand sticks to the vinyl, doesn't rub very well. So it's always a lot easier to fit with a glove, because what I'm doing is I'm pushing the vinyl into the grooves, but I'm doing it in a way to spread and get rid of all the tension, which if we take this excess vinyl off, and there's a lot in the arch area which is excess vinyl. As you can see, still plenty of excess here. Now I can press it into here, make sure that we don't get any creases. I'm getting a couple, so heat gun again. So you don't want to pull on the vinyl because it'll stretch it when you put the heat in. Again, just lift it off but don't pull on it. Heat it all up. You don't want to stick it down while it's hot because it'll deform. So we're just getting rid of all the slack like that and let it cool for a minute. Press the edge in. And then And once this has cooled a little bit, you will see that it all presses on nicely and we don't end up with creases. Oh, there we go. So we put the knife out just one notch for trimming, and you rest the edge of the blade so it doesn't cut the paint, but it rests on the edge of the arch, so it cuts you a nice neat trim line. And then use your glove to press your edge down. We have this little line here just to continue the cut. You only have the blade slightly out so that you don't gouge the paint on the inside. So that edge now is all done. There's no bubbles, all that is nice and smooth. It will need post heating when we've done on all the edges, but that is the panel now fitted on. So the next stage is to press the inlay in. Now, just take this out so we can show you again. If you try and press the inlay in here, you have to heat up. We'll press the centre part on. We'll do this while we've got the camera in the hand. So you start in the centre and go outwards. You just want to press without getting any creases. Doing it one-handed is probably not the best idea. So if you can see that, and I've got a crease, I'm going to have to put you back on the tripod because it's very difficult, to be honest with you, to film this with the camera in the hand. So what I'm going to do is try and bring you in a little bit closer. There we go. So just need to lift that now to get rid of the crease. There we go. So what we're doing is, from the edge we want to go in about the width of the squeegee. So you want to work your way up. Obviously it kind of holds itself off. So at the minute that is leaving me about the width of a squeegee all the way around. Kind of got a little bit of stretch in that top part which I didn't want, which is going to make it difficult to show the technique that I've just used on the other side to make sure that when you defit this bit, if you heat that up, it'll pull in and you'll end up with a wonky line. So we stick a piece of vinyl on to extend it and it pulls in on the vinyl rather than the vinyl was sticking on and keeping. Now the recess on the bottom is a lot wider and deeper, should I say, deeper. So I'm going to leave 1.5 squeegees because we have to press in a deeper line. So I'm basically following the line and then extending it a little bit. So as you can see, we've got a gap here and a gap here. What I'm going to try and do now is put that on the back of the squeegee and just shrink this a little bit without it losing the edge. The squeegee helps take some of the heat and it has stayed fairly straight. So we've got a couple of pieces of scrap vinyl. So the way that you do this, just move tape. The way you do this is you get your vinyl and you stick it on the edge of the vinyl that you're going to be pushing into the recess. Because you're basically going to be stretching the vinyl. So what that's doing is extending the vinyl so it will make this shrink rather than the vinyl that we're fitting. And I'm going to try and do the same on the top, but with how I've stretched the top a little bit, it may be difficult now, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. I'm not saying I'll be 100% successful, and I've got a smaller piece of vinyl because this is a smaller recess. Because ideally I'd like it to be tight like that one, because then you can just put this piece of vinyl on. There we go. So as long as you're stuck, there's going to be a crease there, which I'm going to try and get rid of. And then what we have to do is heat the vinyl, but heat it at the edge that's down, not near the edge you're pushing in. And then you just start with your glove, because it glides nice and smoothly, to press in the edge. You can work down, and as you're going down, I push about 2 mm over initially, just to start getting an edge. Right, you can go all the way around. Just start to push the edge in. Just swap the glove so you can see in shot better. So remember, you're not heating the bit you're pushing, you're heating the bit above it. We're only mildly doing it at the minute, just if you try and push it all in one go, you end up with creases. And you can use a more powerful heat gun. This one takes a little bit longer because it's not as powerful, but you don't burn the vinyl and it ain't got a cable, it's a lot more handy. As you can see, we're starting to push in all the way around. I'll have to swap the glove back again for the top. Try and heat the bar up that isn't pressed, and then you can work it in nicely. So after you've got a couple of mil in all the way around, I then start pressing deeper. And you can feel if there's enough give in the vinyl. So there's enough give in the vinyl there to get that corner in. So that corner is now in, press down nice. And what we do is heat the next piece up. And then do another press about halfway. That press is about 90, and then a final hard press. So there we go, starting to get the recess in. Again, work the next probably 8 inch, 10 inch. There we go. And as you can see, that is now in nicely. And we'll work this last section. Just heat it up all over on this one a little bit so it's got glass, which is basically a technical term for flatness. Less like a bit of heat on the end, and then so we're using the extension of vinyl that we've put on to try and keep the end flat. Now we'll see if we've succeeded. So you pull that off. So it's not perfect, but it's relatively close. So on here, obviously we need to press the edge of this down. It's air release vinyl, so as you go down it, it will release all the air. And you shouldn't get any creases. I am getting quite a decent bubble forming, but it is slowly pushing out at the end. As you can see, it's moving down. I'm going to try. Right, on this one, I'm going to have to use, if I can find it, because of the amount of air, I don't want a crease. Just check that you can actually see the bit I'm working on here. Yeah. I'm going to have to release, do a little pinhole, which helps release the air. And to be fair, it's made a bit of a mess of it. I am going to struggle to sort that area out now. The heat gun will shrink it, and then hopefully, oh, it's come out all right actually. Vinyl is quite forgiving. Just give a bit more heat. And what we've got now is a tiny little bubble. So again, use the same hole I used last time, it's just the adhesive with the heat has gone back together. So we use the same hole and pretty much the hole, because of the heat, keeps sealing itself back up. There we go. Now these are the things that I need to learn and get better on. So there was a really big air bubble. I'm trying to get to show you the light. You can see a bit of a glue line, but it's not bad at all. And now we just need to finish the rest off. So we need to come down and do this section. And obviously this one, I'm hoping, goes nice as well, because we are pretty much on the final straight of this now. Again, we're heating the bar of vinyl that hasn't been pressed down. Now what I usually do, which I didn't do on the top, which is why I got that bubble there, is as I press the edge down, I press the bar down that wasn't pressed. And what that does, instead of then having to get air all the way along through the air release, you're only doing it section by section. So we're on to the deeper recess now. glassed out the vinyl again, so now get some heat into the bit we want to stretch. And then, see, this is what can happen. I've started to get a crease, and I'm not going to get rid of that, unfortunately. That is because I'm using the wrong hand for filming. Trying to give you a shot, but I'm just going to have to press that crease in and then try and lose it a little bit with a heat gun. So if you heat the crease up, you can go over and just flatten it out a little bit. So I am going to use the other hand, which may block the camera a little bit, but I need to. So we need to be going in sections on this. So again, I try and go a couple of mil at a time. Because if you go too fast like I did with the other hand, so at the wrong angle, that's when you get the creases. I'm annoyed now because this one isn't going to be perfect, but it's going to be reasonable. Again, I'll just press down a bit there. What I'm going to do is get some heat in the whole thing across the bottom now and get it pushed in a little bit further so that I can do the final press in one go. You can only push so far, otherwise it'll crease. Yep, just checking it's still got battery power. Just still heating. I've got some reasonable heat in that bit now. So that's another couple of mil in. So we've got another few inch pressed in. Again, we need to make sure there's no air left in it. There we go. Managed to get another small crease in, but got rid of that one more or less. Basically, you can't be greedy when you're pushing this back. If you get greedy when trying to push it in, it lifts up and you get a crease. As you push the vinyl, it wants to crease. So you have to make sure that you don't go too far. There we go. again, I'm not going to be greedy because I've been trying to be a bit greedy and get in creases, which leads to a bad job. If you've got something like this forklift on your image, what you don't want to do is do that in small sections, because the issue you'll have is you'll distort your image. So you've got to try and do the press through the image and past it to keep all the lines straight. I'm trying to go all the way through the forklift. Now I'm pretty much there now, so I should, if I get my finger at the right angle, be able to get a full press through the forklift and all the lines have stayed straight. So what we've got to do now, this is obviously the waste vinyl, the line is there, so we're trying to keep that straight. So what I'm doing is heating up the vinyl, but obviously because it's got the extension on, it shouldn't move that far. Just make it a little bit harder when you're pressing it down, because obviously you're hitting a thicker vinyl and you just need to make sure you don't get any creases. I'm hoping that the trick works. I've got that laid now. So what I'm going to do is peel this vinyl off, and hopefully, we've not been that successful on this one. The vinyl has shrunk back anyway. The other side I got quite good, but on this side it has moved. There's not a great deal you can do. Obviously, somebody that is been doing this longer than I have would probably get it perfect, but they would also be charging more than I'm charging. I charge less and I come in on Sundays to do these on my day off. As basically a learning curve for myself. I'm just making sure all the edges are pressed in. You will have some come back up when you're post heating, but you do need to post heat. So just one last press along there just to make sure. Oh, we've got a big air bubble here, which I'd not seen. So what we need to do, just put a little hole in and heat it up. And then they disappear. Again, I hope that in the near future we get to a point where I'm not getting any issues like that. Basically, if you squeegee it across the panel that you've just pressed, you will hear if there's any air bubbles, because when you've got an image on like this, it is difficult to see them. So that internal panel is now good. Everything else, I believe, is good. So I'm just checking it off with squeegee, making sure you don't hear. If you hear like a crackle, you know that's you putting a crease in it. Yep, that is all good. So the next stage is post heating. So we use the proper heat gun for post heating. Just make sure that you can see where we're post heating. So what we have got is an infrared thermometer that we set for 95 to 105 degrees, because you want to get the recesses to 100 degrees. What you need to do is heat these up to 100 degrees and it changes the memory of the vinyl that should be flat, and it makes the memory of the vinyl stay in the recess. So it's just a case of heating up. I work from the back top corner and heat the corner up to about 75 degrees now. Just turn the gun up a little bit. Got the gun set at 600 degrees. Obviously that's not what the panel is. If you don't post heat your recesses, they'll just peel back out. Maybe not straight away, but they will definitely peel back out. So this top line now is above 100, so I'm just moving slowly and keeping it above 100 all the way. You will get the odd little bit lift back up like there. You don't press it down when it's hot because it creases it. You have to wait till it's cooled and then press it down. Obviously the vinyl on its own at over 100 degrees would deform and melt, but the actual metal it's stuck to acts as a heat sink and stabilises it. The heat gun's warmed up now, so we're pretty much staying at 100 as I work round. This bottom part of the recess is quite deep. You really need to make sure that you post heat these. I think what I'm gonna do is get myself signed up for a wrapping course. And they can all take a laugh at my videos of me doing it wrong. But I should be able to pick up some pointers and stop myself having the issues that I do have. We're just on the last bottom part now. So that is the insert post heated. We also, you don't need to be as accurate with the temperature, but I always post heat all the outer edges. Especially the bottom lips. Just pressing the edges in. You have to be careful when you post heating near the lights, because the lights are plastic, so it's very easy to melt them. And then we just need to do the final trim on this back edge. I'm going to get a fresh sharp blade. need to just make sure that you press the edge nice and neatly, because it needs to be stuck for you to be able to trim neatly. It is a bit awkward trimming behind the hinge, but got that nice and neatly. And then a nice neat trim to the bottom. Obviously you can't get your finger all the way in to do the edges on things like this. And you need to make sure that the top edge is pressed, which you can feel. And then just a bit of heat on it. And then we do have a special tool with a little hook for getting in behind the hinge to make sure everything's pressed. Which that now is. And just put a little bit of heat on that corner to make sure it stays nice and down. And then I do just run that around the edge, just make sure that anything that isn't pressed down gets pressed down. So you can see the recess. Top line's nice and straight. It worked using the vinyl extension. As you come down, you can see there the little crease I've got, but it's not that noticeable. And obviously you can see the depth of the recess. There's quite a deep recess. But that is the panel nice and fitted, all finished. As I say, anybody who wants to throw any comments at us, tell me what I'm doing wrong, tell me how I could improve. I'm definitely not going to turn pointers away. Every day's a school day. We can definitely learn and move forward and do these better. But that's another van finished. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this hasn't dragged along too long. If you've enjoyed it, if you want to leave a comment, that's great. If you can subscribe for us as well, that would be awesome. And that's the rear wrap done on the IVS van. I hope you enjoyed following along and maybe even picked up a few tips. If you've got any suggestions to help me improve, drop them in the comments. We're always up for learning and we certainly do need to improve. If you found this video useful, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to Rogue Design Lab. And for more behind the scenes signwriting, wraps and branding projects videos, keep watching. See you in the next one.